Hello, the Pioneer viewers. As you know, our agenda is the Russia-Ukraine war. While the war continues on the front line, interesting developments are taking place in the background. Developments on the front line and behind the front line have the potential to affect the course of the war. In a stage of war, even the smallest details can be of critical importance. For this reason, war is a process that involves very serious preparations and practices. It is very important for states to be able to bear the burdens of the war. States that cannot bear the burden of the war have weak economies may experience major collapses during the wartime. On the other hand, the strong states usually benefit from the periods of war. The cost of the wars is increasing day by day, with a high-tech weapons cost line millions of dollars. This is where the impact of the war losses on this stage begin. Russia has suffered heavy losses at many points since the invasion of Ukraine. As Russia suffered losses, it tried to launch more attacks instead of making an effective strategy. But these attacks resulted in the destruction of the Russian targets by the Ukrainian army. The Russian military's war discipline of focusing on the constant offense failed. A large number of high-tech Russian weapons systems were destroyed by the Ukrainian army. The cost of the losses for the Russian army amounted to millions of dollars. The social problems that emerged in Russia brought the war into question. The mass protests and anti-war actions of the Russian people have pushed Moscow into a corner. In the reports released recently, the losses of the Russian army were announced and an important detail drew attention. In addition, an armed attack system belonging to the Russian army was destroyed in an attack organized by the Ukrainian army. Now, if you're ready, let's examine the latest developments together. As the Pioneer, we continue to report on the Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. I also read all your comments on our videos. Please continue to share your ideas about our content in the comments with us. Let's start if you are ready. The Pioneer reports. Recently, the Ukrainian army launched an attack on Russian targets. The images posted on social media after the attack were watched by thousands of people in a short time. The images shared on social media showed the moments where the Ukrainian army destroyed Russian targets. It was determined that the Ukrainian army attacked Russia's TOS-1A thermobaric rocket launcher and other targets belonging to the Russian army in the attack organized by the Ukrainian army in the southern Kherson region. The footage recorded by the Ukrainian army at the time of the attack showed missiles and drones attacks on the Russian targets. The Ukrainian army continues its offensive to liberate the occupied territories from the Russian army. Trying to squeeze Russian troops on the eastern bank of the Dnieper River in the Kherson region, the Ukrainian army is making gains in the region. Ukrainian troops who want to remove Russian troops from the region by increasing their gains in the region continue to fight. The latest battlefield reports shows that Kiev's troops are holding their positions on the Russian-controlled eastern bank of the Dnieper River. The command spokesperson of the Ukrainian Navy's Marine Corps said last day that the Ukrainian army managed to make new gains at several bridgeheads on the eastern bank. In statements issued by the Ukrainian military authorities, the Russian losses were clearly stated. According to these statements, the Russian army lost 14 soldiers, one TOS-1A thermobaric rocket launcher, armored personnel carriers, weapons, and vehicles. The successes of the Ukrainian army in the offensive was disappointing for the Russian army. In the past month, the Russian army's Solntspek, which was promoted by the Russian army as an effective weapon, failed to prevent the Ukrainian army. The Solntspek can fire several dozen thermobaric rockets, and it's mounted on different main battle tank chassis depending on the version. The Ukrainian army's counterattacks are intensifying. The Russian army's room for maneuver is becoming more restricted and major problems are emerging. A recent military report revealed that the losses suffered by the Russian army. Russian targets destroyed by the Ukrainian army's secret and effective weapon were shared. Come Back Alive, a Ukrainian military charity, revealed for the first time the other day details of a secret armed forces project known as the Black Box, which it says has caused more than $900 million in damage to the Russian military. The long-range attack drone called Beaver is part of the project, the statement said. This summer, There were announcements by the military officials that the black box was behind the attacks on the Russian military bases and infrastructure, including an explosion on Crimean Bridge. In June, Ukrainian military chief Kirill Budanov said that the black box had caused more than $700 million in damage to the Russian military in 1 month. The long-range Beaver drone reportedly has a range of about 500 miles and was used to strike the Russian storage facility where components of the eight-cycle ballistic missile systems were kept. Comeback Alive also stated that the Beaver was operated to attack a facility that manufactures electronic parts for the KH-31, KH-35, and the KH-59 missiles launched from the tactical aircraft. While the manufacturer of the weapons is unknown, reports of the presence of a Beaver drone in the strikes have built up in recent months. Military analysts have also claimed that Beavers were behind the attacks on Moscow in July. The contents of the weapons used by the Ukrainian army are unknown to other countries. The Ukrainian army seems to have set a criteria for secrecy within the framework of its strategic operational plans. Since the first days of the war, the Ukrainian army has effectively and efficiently used its resources in strategic operations. Likewise, critical information about the Ukrainian army did not reach different people. As a result of effective and covert attack and the war process, the resources of the Russian army started to run out. The Ukrainian army's strategy seems to be approaching success. The important point is the methods that the Ukrainian army will follow in counterattacks in the future. The Ukrainian army can completely wipe Russian targets off the map by organizing mass attacks. It's thought that a great preparation is being made for this purpose. Another possibility is that the Ukrainian army will hold its positions and wait for the Russian troops to withdraw. The Ukrainian army continues to increase its power in the region by massing in strong defense positions. As a result, Russian troops have no chance to counterattack. For the Russian army, whose war losses exceed billions of dollars, the hard times are likely to continue for a long time. What do you think about the Ukrainian army's weapon systems? How do you evaluate the heavy weapon losses suffered by the Russian army? Do you think the Ukrainian army can make successful moves in the designed areas? What do you think about the Russian systems destroyed by the Ukrainian army? We care about your opinion. Please share it with us.